Welcome to Insights into Success, where with your host Paul Dodds, we hope to educate, inspire and motivate you to achieve your own personal success. We talk to guests from all around the world from a variety of walks of life to hear the realities of their own journey to success. What challenges have they faced? How have they coped with failure? And what have been the keys or will be the keys to their own success? In our Read to Succeed interviews, we talk books that have inspired our guests, and for some, they share their secrets to marketing success. Join us as we give you insights into success. Welcome to Insights into Success, where today we're doing the special segment called Read to Succeed. Frank Sauer, a recent guest, has agreed to stay on and share with us some inspiring books that he has read. So Frank, take it away, and very keen to hear about some books that you've read. I know from a recent interview that you're very much into reading, so feel free to share.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. As we were discussing earlier, a lot of people they talk about legacy, and I can't avoid legacy because I'm Frank Sell the fourth. My dad is the third. My son is Frank Sell the fifth, and so there's a little competition for the legacy and taking care of the name Frank Sell. So I for the longest time, I grew up in, say, like the manufacturing environment, where men are men and we talk like men and we handle business like men without a lot of emotion or detail or stuff like that. So when I got into business, I really had to grow and learn a lot. So one of the first books that most people know this one, but it's How to Win Friends and Influence People. And so that was something that I, my next one here, I'll explain a little bit more, but I had to learn myself because I didn't know what I didn't know about me. So How to Win Friends and Influence People, I really just enjoyed it, and it taught me how to relate to people, how to be more interested than interesting kind of things. And so something that is a trick that I learned, and I'm going to tell on myself a little bit here because you can kind of see the last time I read the book. But on the inside of the book, if you're listening on the podcast, go to YouTube and see I write the date when I read the book on the inside of the cover, and then generally on the back of the cover, I'll write the date that I finished it. So How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, great book.
Yeah.
So then talking about personalities, a lot of us have heard the DISC personality profiles, and this one here was by Robert Rohn, not Robert Rohn. So Robert Rohn has the DISC personality profiles. So what that is the DISC, dominant, inspirational, supportive, and cautious. So understanding myself, I had a dominant personality was what I displayed. I didn't care, how things got done, as long as they got done. Didn't care how many feelings got hurt, be a blood trail behind me, a trail of blood behind me, whatever it took, we're going to get shit done. So that was a good one to help understand me and understand other people. So like my daughter, she's a pretty dominant personality. And so it's really helpful with parenting. So my daughter's a dominant. My son is a very supportive. So that's a person that doesn't like confrontation. They love to just relax and chill. But my daughter is a dominant personality. She likes a sense of accomplishment, likes to be in charge. So we learned that my daughter, when we go to the grocery store, was kind of a pain in the butt. But we realized that if I give her the grocery list, well, then she's in charge of the grocery list. So a D personality, a high D, dominant, they love to be in charge. So she would go to the list. She had the list. She would tell us what's next. So that was really a way to communicate with her in a way that she understands. My son is a supportive personality. He doesn't like conflict. He likes to be warned way ahead of time of changes. Doesn't like quick changes. So I would promote to him, say, hey, bud, as soon as we get this project done, man, we can go relax. We can play video games, whatever. So that's what really fires him up, is just being able to chill. So that Positive Personality Profiles is a great book. And then, on the entrepreneur side, The Magic of Thinking Big. That's a really good book. You can see in here, it's I read it at least 4 times and listened to it a few times as well.
So who wrote that book?
Dr. David Schwartz.
Right. Okay. And so tell me about your reading style. Do you tend to prefer a physical book, or do you have listen to audio or Kobo/Kindle? What's your preference?
Preference is physical. And then the second would be audio. And I don't really do Kindle and so on. Because my main trade, I stare at stuff all day, or I'm on a computer. So that's the last thing I really want to do. And for me, like the older the book, I have some books that are, over 100 years old. And it's like this one here. This is a Peterson's magazine from 1874. And so
wow.
just smelling that book, just
spirits of it.
Yeah. So it's I prefer physical, but I will do audio as well.
Yeah. And tell me, with your reading, do you take notes? Do you kind of write things in the book? What do you do to like try and help retain information you learn?
Well, I usually read the same paragraph 4 or 5 times until I get it with my ADD brain. I try to write some notes and try to underline things. For whatever reason, my mind doesn't really work that way. Like a note taker, I'm really envious of people that can just take notes and notes and notes. Like they pull those things out. I think for me, I'll read the book and reread the book, or read the book and listen to the audio, and just really let that become a part of me. And before I know it, I'm speaking things that I've learned. But yeah, as far as taking notes, I do my best, but I've seen people that are way better at note taking.
And from what you've just said before, you obviously, the good books that you've really got a lot out of, you tend to read them repeatedly.
Mm-hmm. I do. Yep. Because like they say, the second, third, fourth time you read it, it's not the same book, because you're not the same person. If you practice what you've learned, well, then you become a new you. And it's something that I call, and I phrase, whose thinking are you thinking? And it's what I've learned from growing up as Frank Sell, my dad being Frank Sell, my son being Frank Sell, my grandpa being Frank Sell. It's like, the Bible says this, like Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about epigenetics and so on. The energy is passed on from one generation to the next. And so what I've learned through studying is that by time we're 7 years old, we've pretty much developed all of our habits and our personality. And then we repeat those habits the rest of our life without ever thinking about it. And so the whose thinking are you thinking? I realized that I would handle things in my marriage, or handle things in business or finances or friends, a certain way. But when I stopped and walked away from that, and I call it patience in the pause, when I had a moment to myself, I would just kind of ask, well, man, is that how you really feel? Or are you just repeating a pattern, that you learned? Or are you just repeating what you've learned? Or are you, like they say, your closest 5 people you spend most time with, are you just repeating how they talk about their wife, or how they talk about sports or business or whatever? And so really is part of becoming my own man and equipping myself with the knowledge and the wisdom.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting point. We're often in autopilot, aren't we? So we just kind of do stuff without really giving it a lot of thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nowadays they call it NPC, the non-playable characters, just going through life.
Yeah, 100%. And for you, how often do you read?
The last few years I haven't read a lot. Because let's see, I think it's about 2019, 2020. I went through a divorce, and that really shook me for a long time, because we talked about, on the other podcast about the beard oil business, and the coffee business. So the beard oil, that was another commodity for me. I wasn't selling beard oil. I was selling manhood. And what that means is I started a Facebook page and a website called Armored Up Man. And that's because the things I had been going through and had gone through with, with an ex and with children and custody, and then there was dangerous situations that I really had to confront. So that whole process, through that, I came to Christ, and became a new wineskin. And so one of the things I've learned, and again, like the Bible says this, and science will say the same thing: nothing can exist in a vacuum in nature. It has to be filled with something. The Bible says when you decide to change your ways, when you accept Christ and you decide, I am no longer going to do the things that I was doing before that were taking me down a wrong path, well, then you are required to fill that void where those things existed, or else you will fall back in that pattern. So the Bible says, the devil's going to come back with 7 of his buddies and try to get that spot back. So that's why you have to armor up and be able to discern. And you do that by equipping yourself with knowledge and applying that in a daily fashion.
Yeah, 100%. No, makes good sense. Interesting. All right. Well, thank you so much, Frank, for staying on and sharing on Read to Succeed as well. It's been a real pleasure, and you've been very insightful and very frank, shall we say, in sharing your journey, which is much appreciated. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for letting me share. I appreciate it.